Let's welcome in Republican Congressman from North Carolina, member of the House Armed Services Committee, and retired U.S. Army Green Beret, Pat Harrigan. Congressman, I'm not sure if you were listening to the monologue. I want to ask you a little bit about that, but first I want to update the breaking news about Jimmy Kimmel, the late-night host on ABC, being pulled off the air indefinitely by the network. The quote that I just read that he said on his Monday night monologue was, "We hit some new lows over the weekend," with the MAGA gang trying to characterize this kid who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. That's what Jimmy Kimmel said when we all knew by then that this guy was not MAGA. He had a conservative father for sure who was a police officer, but the kid was anything but MAGA. So just to get your reaction, Congressman, to that.
I think it's just another example of the left obfuscating and lying to the American people about the truth of this situation. I mean, very clearly, obviously, from the very beginning, this was going to be a radical leftist. Every piece of the puzzle and just the circumstance of it screamed that this is just another example of radical left violence against the right. And so I don't understand Jimmy Kimmel's perspective on this. Truthfully, I've never really understood his humor. I don't think he's that funny, and I'm glad he's off the air.
Well, there are also some fellow lawmakers of yours who've been doing some grandstanding there on Capitol Hill, like Schiff and Booker. Any thoughts on them before we move on?
Yeah, look, I think what we've seen from our Democratic colleagues is really frustrating in this last week. Talk about blaming Charlie Kirk for this, continuing to double down on talks of being a Nazi, being racist, misogynist, homophobic, someone who's a fascist, someone who is supportive of a dictatorship taking over America, someone who's an enemy of the state. They continue to double down on this rhetoric, not realizing that it's this rhetoric that is actually motivating some really crazy people in this country to violence over and over and over again. We've seen it with Steve Scalise. We saw it with President Donald Trump now twice. And unfortunately, now we've seen it with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The left has got to knock this off.
Yeah, they need to start condemning the violence, praising law enforcement for doing an amazing job in catching the alleged killer so quickly. The FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino told Newsmax's Rob Schmidt the Bureau is investigating a potential broader network of people who may have known the accused gunman. Congressman, do you think other people might have been involved or were complicit in this assassination?
I don't know. I don't have access to that information. I will tell you, it wouldn't surprise me if there are, or if tangentially around the shooter there were, because you got to understand, people that are in this type of mental state, they generally seek out others who are in a similar perspective or place in life. And so I think it'll be very interesting to see more detail on his online activity. I'm very certain that the federal government already knows the answer to this question.
Well, Utah's governor said the suspect was indoctrinated with leftist ideology, and I wonder how concerned you are with some of these leftist groups that are spreading hate and possibly encouraging people to commit political violence. I know it's being investigated.
Yeah, there's no question about it. We've got a bigger and broader problem here. You talk about the family that this guy came from, right? Kind of just straight down the middle of the road, traditional conservative family, ends up having a black sheep come out. And ultimately, like, this kid very clearly was taken over by the culture that has been allowed to fester in this country and lost him. Right? I mean, he's just gone. I mean, I think that's what's so sad about this entire thing, is that we've got the next generation of America that has been shot and killed here in Charlie Kirk's instance. And you've got the shooter, representative of the next generation of America, that has just completely thrown his life away, committed an absolute atrocity here, and really put the country in a bad place. I think that's what's actually so frustrating, and it all stems from the fact that we have a culture that is encouraging this type of behavior.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty disgusting. And Congressman, I know you're among the people taking action against those who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder, including a Wake Forest University athletic trainer who celebrated the assassination. I'm told you contacted Wake Forest and then that woman has now been fired. You also revealed the university is supporting students who are launching a Turning Point USA chapter at that campus. Tell me a little bit more about how all this played out.
I think we all understand that any type of support for violence, particularly the celebration of someone's killing, is absolutely incomprehensible. It should never happen. It shows no respect for humanity whatsoever. Whether you agree with somebody, disagree with somebody, look, this is another American. And from the perspective of an educator, someone who's working with the next generation of Americans, to me, it's just wholly disqualifying if you celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk for you to continue being employed, raising the next generation of Americans. And so we've dealt with this not only at Wake Forest, which I've really had a very good experience with through this unfortunate circumstance, but we're also working other educators in our district. We even have someone who sits on a board of education in our district come out and celebrate the killing of Charlie Kirk. And I think that's one of the most frustrating things that I've seen is the sheer number of people that have come out in the last week celebrating this absolutely heinous murder of, a beautiful young kid. I mean, at the end of the day, father to two very, very young kids, a husband, someone that meant so much to so many in this country, and really at the end of the day, brought his philosophy out to the public square, inviting others from different philosophies to come out and defend their perspective in a mutually respectful, very peaceful way. And they killed him for it. And it's so sad to see where our country is right now.
Well, Congressman Pat Harrigan, we appreciate the work that you're doing, and I think we can all agree that educators should lead by example. They should teach good lessons of law and order and respecting life, and it's unfortunate that some of them are not doing that. Thank you again, Congressman, for joining this show.
Always good to be with you.